New Local Legends Podcast. Real small town success stories.
You have quite the lineups.
We believe that if people know better, they can do better.
When you kissed me by the river.
Sponsored by Glockner Enterprises.
There's pies are made at Glockner Chevrolet.
Time to turn.
Rich Moon.
Welcome to the Speakeasy.
The amount of love and compassion.
The hope that's been bubbling up in the last few years.
The finer things about Portsmouth.
You just don't see that everywhere.
Local legends only.
We're live on the Local Legends Podcast. This is episode 45, and I'm in the Glockner Speakeasy with my longtime friend, Darren Mault. Darren, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks for joining me. And why don't you just start with introducing yourself and what you do?
Darren Mault. I work at the Scioto River. Family started in 1978, and here we are.
Yeah, man. Like I was telling you the other day, man, when you and Tim collaborated to make Bernie G. Dortmunder Lager, and they got all excited, like, and re-energized about their family story and their origin. You yourself having a multi-generational family story and business legacy. There couldn't have been two better people that collaborated to make the beer, and like the podcast, all the conversation we have about small town success at all, that was like the original focal point. Like that's where it started, was a very genuine place of us being excited about creating an export like that for the city. And so it's really fun to have you on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. Your family is kind of at the forefront of culture here and in Scioto County in Southern Ohio. Like so many people that I talk to out of town know what Portsmouth is because of the river. Like I've been to the Scioto River, or I know, like that is their reference point for what Portsmouth is. Is that like wild to you?
Oh, yeah. I've been a lot of places, and people ask me where I'm from, and then they say, yeah, you ever go to the river? And I say, yeah, every now and then. They walk into the conversation with them, though, and they tell a good story about coming here for whatever, whether it's by a car or workers' comps behind the river, and some attorneys from Chicago I've ran into. So it's some fun stories.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But like I said, it's just amazing how it starts with something simple like a good meal, and it becomes a lot more than that. And that's certainly like what the Scioto River is and what the Portsmouth Brewing Company is a spot where that's like become part of the culture. It's become part of what's made Portsmouth. Just tell us a little bit about the origins of the businesses, and because your family's like crafted this small town phenomenon, but I don't know how much you feel was intentional or how much you felt was just organic. Like, how did all of it begin with your father and such?
My dad grew up on a small farm in Slocum Station, Ohio, Sciotaville, but call it Slocum Station out 140. But his mom taught him how to cook, and after high school, he went into service. Ended up, I believe, in Georgia, and while he was there, some Indians taught him how to cook on a grill, and when he came back, he decided to have a party and get his own grill and keg of beer, and next thing you know, he was looking to purchase a establishment in town, and my mom told him if they were going to serve alcohol, he needed to serve some food, so one thing led to another, and he was giving away chicken wings or, this or that, just giving them away on Monday night. And started out opening up on Fridays and Saturdays, and now we're open every day of the week.
Yeah, that's a fact, yeah. Man. Was it always at the same location, or like where did it all start?
Yeah, it was the location now. The river is Henry's Cafe, and he purchased it in I think '78.
How old was he? Do you know?
probably 35, 6.
Okay, yeah,
He worked the power company during the day and
really.
there in the evening. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I've heard. Like I was telling you, I've heard some wild like origin stories. Like somebody in my family told me that Steve Mault cut open a 50-gallon drum and then just like started smoking out of that.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much the truth. That and a case of beer.
Yeah, in a case of beer. I got you. Do you remember what the reception was early on from the community? Did you have any sense of that?
I mean, it was just a regular tavern, and to get people to come in the evenings, his word of mouth. He hung at the local stag bar, and your Uncle Tony and friends, they just supported him, come and hung out, and next thing you know, they were bringing their wives and kids.
Yeah. So it started as like a bar, essentially.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your father, because he obviously had like a large impression and started the business. Like, how did his passion for the craft affect the business that he was building? Do you think?
He just worked hard, and he wanted to provide a nice place for people to eat and hang out. Really, I mean, I don't know that he wanted to turn into
This,
but he was kind to everybody, and that's what he taught us to be, and have a good time at the same time.
yeah, absolutely. And that's it. I mean, the atmosphere just still feels like that. It just feels like really genuine. That you could tell like the care and attention that's been put into the food, like it's a special thing. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're trying too hard. It just feels authentic.
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you get involved with the business, Darren?
I was probably 16, 17 when I really started working there every day. I loved to go there as a little kid, though. I'd skip church on Sunday mornings and go down there with him and clean, but kind of hang out, yeah. But no, Monday Night Football, I remember that being a huge thing in the late 70s. And, he was giving away chicken wings. The local Herman's Meat Market would drop off a bucket of wings, and we would give them out and just kind of hang out. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I feel like obviously football is still a big part of the culture there, and you have I want to ask you more about all these pictures you have with Bengals players and things like that are on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So how'd that all come to be? And you had Chris Collinsworth and people that were obviously at the time were like at the top of their game.
Oh yeah, I remember that plain as day. I mean, they came to town to play intramural basketball.
Really?
Over in Portsmouth, and Dad told a few guys if they brought him over, we'd feed him and have a few beers with him, and they took him up on it. And Collinsworth, I think the first year, Archie Griffith, Collinsworth, Lewis Breeden, I still talk to every now and then. They're just several guys. Yeah, they were at that time. They were in their prime. I mean, it was pretty cool.
What do you like intramural basketball? Like, was there a league or something that it was popular around here?
Back then, the NFL would send their guys out trying to get a fan base even then, and they came here and played against local Portsmouth high school teachers or basketball coaches. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, so they were pretty good.
Awesome. So did it just catch on? Like, do you feel like that was a big part of bringing like notability to the business, or let people know that it was there on the map and grow into what it is today?
It probably had some influence on it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we did it for a good time. Dad was a big Bengals fan, and just like I said, he kept in contact with them, and they, like I said, some of them still give a call or stop by every now and then.
Sure.
Anthony Munoz.
Well, at this point, Darren, it really feels like, it is like an authentic piece of like Bengals culture. You know what I mean? Like, it's all these pictures that were taken there, and you got them in these like cool wooden frames. I mean, it's really like a throwback. When you walk in there, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
So yeah, you get involved 16, 17 in the business. Can you talk about maybe how your role developed? Did you see yourself kind of taking over and perpetuating the business, Darren?
Like I said, he worked the power company until probably I was 25, 26, somewhere in there. So I'd kind of worked all along and just did whatever he asked me, and he kind of started enjoying some of his time off. So one thing led to another. It was never planned. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, like, and now, I mean, who you have like other family members that are actively like a part of the business as well. So, to talk a little bit about them and what they do, Darren.
Yeah, I have two nephews, Chase and Caden, and they both kind of do day-to-day operations. And sister still stays active in Carissa. She stays active in both places. Harold and Bertie Wallace have been there since the beginning as well, and they still come in every morning and help out. So they were a big influence on everything as well.
Cool. Yeah, particularly with the river you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So at what point, talk about the timeline, because the brewing company, I mean, it's just like a beast of the building, has like really deep historic roots, super old building. Like, when did you all get interested in that, and how did that develop?
He had spent time in Germany in the Air Force, and they had some microbrews over there. So in '96, he thought about adding a brewery on the side of the river.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, Mr. Taylor owned the brewery building that we're in now, which was a brewery in 1843. And he had gotten word that we were wanting to do that, and he came to Dad and asked him if he'd be interested in just redoing Portsmouth Brewing Company into the Portsmouth Brewing Company. So that's how we ended up on 2nd Street and kind of renovating it.
Yeah. Which was that like a pretty wild project? I mean, how much, what kind of condition was it in when you got it?
Everybody called it the Brewery Arcade, and they had some different shops in it. The leather shop was there, Balloons Creation, just different little things. So when we purchased it, it was still in decent shape. I mean, it had been deteriorated, but its bones are still all there and kind of fill it.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially, I mean, the basement, like those rooms are super wild as well. Do you know much about the history of the building, like why it got started back in there? I mean, has it been a brewery this whole time, or?
From 1843 until Prohibition it was, and then I believe they used some warehousing, Huda pole maybe, but really non-functional until about 96 is when we purchased it. And just, like I said, renovated it and turned it into what it is.
It was basically like it had been sectioned out to like multiple little businesses, and
right. And to the parking lot was a part of it. There were some other buildings down through there. We have some old photographs of different locations and different things, but that was the main, where we are actually right now is where it was.
Are there like some notable events, like things that stick in your mind that have been a part of, like I see those old pictures that you have in the Scioto River, for instance, that's like the Clydesdales. It looks like the Budweiser Clydesdales, you know what I mean, standing along the side of the building. Talk about maybe some of those things that have happened since your family business has been in operation.
Those were from the 50s, I believe, so I wasn't there for that one. Yeah, somebody came in and gave us that picture, and
wow,
yeah, that was pretty cool. Man, the Olympic torch rolling by. I think we got a picture hanging out in there, and somebody captured that. A lot of things on the wall are actually from what other people from the area have taken and brought it in. We've put it up, so.
Even like you're saying, a lot of other people give you things that maybe like remind them of the business. You're saying like Craig came in the other day, or Uncle Craig came in the other day and gave you that old Bengals hat.
Oh yeah.
So do you find like they associate you with a lot of like memorabilia from the area?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Craig spent a few days in there, so
He sure has, man.
Nah, he's a good guy. Yeah, there's still some people who come in just to watch some football, but anymore they come in to eat. But
sure.
Started out though, that was the place to be. I mean, it kind of felt like Cheers when I was a kid. I mean, if you watch that.
Yeah, it has the same kind of energy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Back then you had a cast of characters, man. It was a lot of fun, a lot of good people.
Was there a point, Darren, where I guess did you realize people were introducing themselves to you, like coming from farther and farther away?
Yeah. In our area, it's kind of rural, and you get Adams County and South Shore over in the Ashland, Ironton areas. But here in the last, 10 to 15 years, a lot of motorcycles travel on nice days, or they can't wait to get out on a Saturday and Sunday. And I mean, they're traveling Akron,
Yeah.
Dayton. It's pretty interesting to see, you know.
Other people in like the tri-state or in Ohio that like that hear that they have to try the river basically.
Yep. Huntington. Yeah, it's fun. Fun to take the names, numbers. You know,
Yeah.
Now you ask everybody for their number. We text them and you see where they're from. So.
Yeah. Well, gosh, and Darren, like, you always had like 50, 60, 70,000 people that had like checked in on your Facebook page. Like, that's like way more people than that live here in the area. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild stuff. How about the menu and how you've reached the point that it's at now? I mean, what were like the first select items? You were saying chicken wings and things like that, but like how you get the ball rolling with that? Do you remember? Or your dad?
I believe we started out serving spare ribs early on, and then people around our area were used to really meat and potatoes, and spare ribs didn't have, you know, that much meat on them, and he pretty much opened up a country style rib and threw it on a plate, and people were pretty happy with it. And
Yeah.
somebody recommended we do steak, and I believe Harold Wallace was maybe that person. And next thing you know, we were steaks, ribs, and chicken.
So there's a original, like the way you guys cook on the smoker and everything. I mean, one of the coolest things about it, Darren, is like when lunch gets going or even early in the morning, like if you're hanging around, do you even smell it anymore? Like,
Oh, yeah.
do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like,
I smell like it right now, probably.
but I mean, you could smell it down the street. You know what I mean? Like it's it's pretty enticing for sure. But the way that they're smoking everything, was that original to like how your father was doing it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and so he's that like memory of him kind of lives on in all the like the ways that you handle the craft, which is really cool. You know, like the craft brewing thing is real popular now. Do you remember it being what is now when you like initially kind of took on the brewery, when your family took on the brewery? Was it still kind of like a niche thing to do?
Yeah. I didn't go very many places, you know, and I've seen too many. I know there was maybe one or two in Columbus, and when he decided to do it here. But it was a phase probably from early 90s, late 80s, early 90s to early 2000s. And then I believe it kind of faded away, and it's made a pretty strong comeback now. In 96, 2nd Street was empty. What everybody's done right now to revitalize the whole area, I mean, it's awesome to see.
Yeah.
'Cause there for a long time, I would drive down 2nd Street and there would be nothing. So
Yeah.
it's awesome for people that done what they've done.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely like a renewed sense of energy,
Yeah.
no doubt. And my aunt used to say the same thing. Like she's like, you can just fire a cannon downtown, like back in those days, you know.
Yeah, and people from out of town, you mentioned the river, you know, they come in there and talk about what's going on with Winterfest and different things. So I mean, I get a good vibe from it. A lot of people
Sure.
coming from Ashland, Huntington areas
Oh wow.
come here for that. So
Yeah, and you probably get a good grip of like the social temperature just by all the people you talk to.
oh yeah,
You know. Yeah.
and it brings people to the brewery. So I mean, everybody's done with Boney Fiddle District or Friends of Portsmouth's been awesome. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thanks for that. If anybody's listening,
Absolutely. Where do you kind of start to gather inspiration to create like the signature beers that you have now at the brewery, like Pyrenees Pilsner, those kind of things? Can you talk about naming those, brewing those? Like, how do you get started with all that?
my dad and his brother Ira, Uncle Babe is what we've called him, but they came up with I believe my dad's recipe is Pilsner, and my uncles had the Spartan Export at the time, and then Redbird, I don't remember exactly how they came up with it, but you know, you wanted a flagship, so my dad Portsmouth Pilsner, and that's kind of where we come up with that. So Redbird Ale was named after one of the baseball teams that was affiliate of the Cardinals. They tried to just connect it with some things of the past
Right.
in our area to some of our beers. So
Well, it definitely worked, Darren, because those names kind of like I mean, just I remember being in school and like just like Googling those terms and trying to figure like Redbird, you know, on Redboard, Portsmouth, Ohio, like, and learning about just the culture that you all had preserved with that stuff, which is cool, you know, kept it to the forefront of everybody's mind. And so it's just cool how craft things like that, even as simple as a beer, like have all these like deeper connections and can help move the culture forward and remind people of the past, you know, the things that made us great. Peerless City is a cool one, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I had no idea that Steve, you said like Germany, kind of spending time there, when he was in the service, or what was he? Yeah, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. Didn't like good beer, really, is why he wanted to make his own beer. Yeah, and my mom wouldn't get well together, even though she didn't partake in a lot of his festivities. She was the mind behind it, we'll say.
Sure. She's a big part of his success as well.
Oh, yeah. She stayed out of the way, but she was in his ear.
So what do you think have been the biggest factors of, like, your family's long-term success with what you're building, Darren? Because, I mean, you can see it even that's a big parallel between you and the Glockners, and I know you and Tim and the boys are good friends. Like, you know, they've perpetuated their family business, set up the next generation for success. You know, the next generation has to want it and work just as hard as the first, you know, but it's like it's an exercise in, you know, I feel like I feel it with my granddad too, you know, even though I didn't get anything monetary from him, but I like his good word, like the good faith that he had built up with other people, the relationships that he had built, like set me up for success. You know, I feel like I got chances from people that maybe I wouldn't have before because they knew who my grandparents were and who my dad was. You know, it like extended to me. And so, what do you think has been the factors there for your family to like continue to be so successful in the business?
They've instilled for us, you know, to be hardworking and to be kind to everyone. Good day, bad day. You know, you still got to push forward. You know, and I believe the next generation in our family is definitely hardworking and, you know, look forward to helping other people and being successful and, you know, keep going forward. Don't back up.
Yeah. Well, you can see with even your family success story, Darren, like, you know, it starts with your family and it's your success, but that's like rippled out to the community that you're serving with the food, just even the great experiences that people are having there, and then just all the people you're employing, you know?
Well, thanks.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I guess let me ask this, Darren. What advice would you give to like other entrepreneurs trying to create something here local, trying to create something they're proud of and represents the city well? I guess where would you have them start? Can you shed any light on that?
Be creative, you know, and try to connect it to our town and people here will get behind it. I mean, that's what's important is everybody here does get behind the river and the brewery, and I feel they're proud of it, and that makes, you know, that really makes everybody else in our family happy. I mean, so.
You know, I will say that, like, even when Nick and I were coming up through school, you and Tyler and just like the projects that you all gave us with the brewing company, I mean, that was like a big step in us kind of getting our feet wet and getting to know more people here here locally. And so I want to thank you for that. You all have been a part of my personal success and my brother and our families. And I think that's maybe part of the key is like everything you're doing, Darren, it seems to be coming from like a genuine place where you're just getting to know people, and like opportunity comes out of that organically, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the secret maybe of what's happened with the river. You know, it just started with just genuine people, you know?
Treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, it's a fact, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining me. I think people are going to get a lot out of hearing your initial story, and we look forward to y'all's continued success, the Mault family in general.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for listening, everybody.